Well, hey, what's up? It's Adrian here, coming back at you with yet another video. And today, what I want to get into is the housing crisis again. So much news around this. This was actually an article that came out, I think it was like a few days back. So here it is. It's the city with no future, the real cost of Sydney's housing crisis. Now, I read this article, but I read it on another platform, so you don't actually have to pay for it. But look, the situation is it kind of just went into like all these different, crazy avenues as to what you would actually do to solve this problem. It was just like going down banana lane, quite frankly. It wasn't very logical at all. But look, at the end of the day, this situation is abundant. It is realistically like a giant issue. And like I can honestly feel for the youth of Sydney, those that don't have access to real estate. They could be young, they could be old actually. Like there's people, I've actually come across multiple people that were, complaining about the cost of living in Australia. They're renters. They're like in their 40s and 50s, and they're still renting properties. So it's not just like a young person thing. It's not just like something the boomers could solve for you tomorrow. Look, at the end of the day, the biggest issue when it comes to the property market in Australia in general, not just Sydney. Sydney is kind of like a luxury city. Let's be real. Like if you're talking about like somehow getting young people with no money and no income, real high income, into the lower North Shore, eastern suburbs in a city, Sydney, you can just forget about it. It's just not an option. But if we're talking about the major crisis when it comes to, the actual, fixable situation, it's going to be the building of houses. Okay, so the building of properties. And the Australian government has set targets to build, 75,000 homes in the next 5 years. This is just, something that's just well off track. The construction is showing, I think it was something like 42,500 or something, 42,500, to the year, I think, of September, when there have to be something more around like 75,000 homes per year. So it's like way off. It's just, they're way behind. And the simple reason for that is the cost of construction. We're talking materials, we're talking labor. Labor is a big issue. And then, of course, the other side of the equation, like that's the supply side of the equation, but the demand side of the equation, which is like, just bringing 1.5 million people into the country, that's absurd. Like that's like we don't have enough houses, we can't build enough houses, and we're going to bring in 1.5 million new people. Like just give me a break. The stupidity behind it's insane. And just for Brisbane, like just for Queensland, like as a actual place as well, the amount of homes, I think it was 1 million and something, or maybe just 1 million homes, roughly speaking, to be built by 2046, like new properties built. And that would be around 45,000. I think I wrote that down before, 45,000 per year. And we're like way off track of that. We're like at about 35,000 per year. So we're already, down a large amount in regard to percentages to build enough houses in Queensland. So like Queensland has also more interstate migration than any other city. So you can just understand like how bad this situation is. It's immense. And then I keep telling you guys about this. This is like the news with regard to, next. Where was I at? Like with regard to, yeah, of course, here's more news on it. Sydney and Melbourne exodus by younger generation could have grave consequences, obviously. But then again, you've got to remember they're bringing in like 1.5 million people. Where the hell do you think they're going? They're going here as well, But that's one of the big issues that I talk about a lot. I talk about inflation a lot. And this is another really key point I wanted to bring up. Just it's in the news. You might have seen this China's DeepSeek AI thing that's come out of nowhere. I'd never heard of it before. There's probably a few people that heard of this, but I actually have not heard of this before. I don't think really anyone had. There's just so few people that heard about this. But the DeepSeek, China's, AI that's caused a catastrophe, like a major sell-off within the American stock market and all those, sort of Nvidia. I think I had Nvidia up here before. That's a general cryptocurrency that just went to the floor from this. And it was probably sold here to cover losses in other avenues like Nvidia. So the S&P, so Nvidia here, you can see this pre-market action right here, just sell, boom, market opens, massive gap. And that's what happened. That's what happened based on this, DeepSeek right here. DeepSeek in regard to, major sell-off. And I just don't buy this. Like, I don't see a lot of coincidences when I see things happen in the market. I'm just very skeptical, when I see this sort of thing happen. So my presumption on what's occurred here is America is and this is like, kind of going way out there, but you got to, stay with me on this. I guess so many things right. I knew Trump would get shot. I knew Trump would win. I knew that they would try and challenge, elections back in the day. I knew that they would steal the 2020 election. I knew that the SC 19, let's call it, I knew that was coming. The SV 19. I knew it was coming. I knew that was coming, and I knew that the solution was coming as well. So like, there's a lot of things that I've gotten right over the years. So I tend to take my gut instinct on these macro things and run with it. What I would say that's happened essentially is that they want to pour heaps of money into AI. So what better excuse than to say, look, China's beating us. We've got to win the race of the AI race. It's kind of like that space race. Remember back in Soviet and US days, in a space race, who's going to land on the moon first? There's another topic, landing on the moon. So, look, at the end of the day, I don't suspect that is legit with regard to them having this deepfake, DeepSeek, deep state, whatever the hell it is, thing from China, like it's some kind of, genuine thing. I just don't buy it. But I would suggest that Elon Musk and that crowd are going to get massively funded. It's going to come around this here, which I wanted to share with you. This Larry Ellison and Stargate AI will shatter the tyranny of impossible. Doesn't make a lot of sense, that headline. I think the tyranny of impossible might be like, how bad cancer is, because this is all to do with like cancer solutions with regard to AI, just like figuring out what's wrong with you and then diagnosing you with this, genetic prescription to basically cancel out the cancer with, with another, roll of the dice. Just take this and see what happens. I personally think that this is going to get funded to, like, if you want to make, like, it's not investment advice. I'm not giving any investment advice. It's all just news. I just rattle it off. But this here, I would say they are about to plunk lots of money into this, and it's going to be government backed, right? That's what I think. I'm pretty sure about that. And so look, that's basically that particular situation. And look, when it comes to all of this money that I bring up, I don't bring this up for real estate in Australia for fun. I bring this up because you've got to understand that I've said this over and over. Those who print the money, all right? So, where's the money coming for Stargate and AI and all these things? Where's it coming from? It's coming from a central bank, okay? So you don't just go, Trump doesn't go, hey, look, we got a stockpile of money. They don't, okay? That's why they're in debt, like, $37 trillion. They don't have a stockpile of money. So they have to go back to the Federal Reserve and say, here's a bill. We want, $1 trillion to fund this project. And then Elon Musk has another multi-trillion-dollar company. You know what I mean? So like, that's how this works. And it's going to be a matter of a lot of money falling into it. But, when money goes into the system, it's more printed money, larger deficit, larger debts. That money always finds its way into other assets. Okay. So it's another thing. All right. Now, when it comes, so that's why I bring it up, just with regard to real estate. So it works like that. Now, I also want to bring up this major topic here. So this here is a major topic. So this is Europe braces for the most extreme military scenario as the Trump-Putin 2.0 begins, right? Like, okay, so the headline is a bit retarded, sort of saying that there's some kind of, unification here. There's even a little hyphen that joins their names. So look, at the end of the day, what this is, Trump's come out and said, I don't want a war. Putin's always said that he doesn't want a war. He's always said that he wants to just have a secure border. And that's what Trump has now. Trump has done a hell of a good job, by the way, on the border. Like, he's really just made that, ultra, just overnight. It actually shows you one thing, and I just want to talk about that 1 second. When a politician comes out and says, we're going to do something, normally that takes forever. But he has just like moved the speed of light on that. Like it's like an ultra warp speed, if you will, on that topic of just securing that border. So Trump's done a really good job there. You got to give him credit for that. Look, this article just goes into basically a bunch of maniacs that want to run a war. So it's now this new NATO thing, right? And I'll explain why I bring this up again for Australian real estate. A new NATO thing. They're just hell-bent on running war. They just don't have any option for peace here. It's like, it must be done. We must have this, it has to go through. And I'm just sick and tired of this. People are literally dying. Like, this is not a joke. This is an extreme situation, right? Like, this is war. We're literally talking about war going on. So how that affects real estate, at the end of the day, we hope that Trump and Putin can come to some solution here. I personally don't have a lot of hope in it, actually. I don't. I think that, and I said this a long time ago, I said that once Trump comes in, all he has to do is just cut off the funding. Like, nothing happens organically. I think I've explained that enough times. Like the CV-19 that happened in 2020, 21, 22, 23, whatever those years were, that was a multi-trillion-dollar campaign. Like, that was a humongous push of capital into the system that just went bloop. You had zero economy basically flatlined, but all asset prices going through the roof. And I've mentioned that over and over before, just to demonstrate to you that you technically do not need a good economy. You do need it long term, but like in the short term, you don't need a good economy for assets to rise. They can just keep rising as the rich get richer and they put their money into assets. The stock market can just keep going up. It's owned by the wealthiest people. Okay, so of course, a 300K property is not going to have a multi-billionaire buying it. So money does, however, trickle out. So it will go from banks. Banks get money. Banks lend it out, etc., etc. So it always has this Cantillon effect. Okay. So, but when it comes to this situation with regard to that particular, C19 event that had trillions of dollars pushed after it. With war, that's another expensive thing. So they as you fund C19, it exists. I think that most people on the planet Earth, like, we're talking the vast majority, to the point you could just say everybody, with the exception of a few, would never ever have noticed that it even existed. Like C19, they would have gone, I don't know, I think I was sick, I had a cold or something. So you wouldn't have known about it. But the mass marketing put it on the map. So when you fund something, we're talking stickers on trains saying, be part, stay smart, be smart, stay apart. With those, we're talking, I think I saw it on a urinal keg, like, 6 meters apart or whatever it was, 6 feet apart. So I don't know, but like it's legitimately like a really huge multi-trillion-dollar campaign. And it's the same with this particular war going on. If you don't fund it, you don't have a war. So Trump's come in. Hopefully, he's just going to say, look, all money's cut off. I know he said it, but all money's cut off, 100%. Can't give them money. We're not having it anymore. And another cool thing I'd like to see, I don't know if this will happen, but Elon Musk was talking about getting a ledger on that, like a digital currency sort of ledger, to say, so, this much money's been sent here. This is where it went. That's what it purchased, blah, blah, blah. So you can completely track it. And I mean, I think you'd see a few Bugattis getting showing up on that ledger. But my point is here that if you cut the funding off on a war, that's over. War's gone. See you later. No more war. It's over. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. Basically, though, I believe, and said this before, which is just sort of looping back to where I said, doing a bit of a Trump here, just going, weaving and ducking and whatever. But I said that what I said before earlier was that money for this war is going to come now from the NATO countries, NATO besides Russia, besides US. So yeah, that'll be sad if that happens. But again, it's more money printing. So the ECB is going to start printing money. But that's it, guys. I think I'll just leave you there with that. Like I always said, I'm going to keep you updated with what's going on with my interpretation of what I see in the news. And just remember, I've sort of predicted, if you will, that Trump's going to, that the Federal Reserve is basically going to say we're not raising rates, and Trump's going to come out and say, look at these idiots, they didn't raise rates, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be a bit of a tug of war. I can guarantee you the central bank actually wants to lend money. They want to push more money into the system. All right. I have a bigger picture on the horizon for what's happening with the entire monetary policy. But I can tell you this much. To buy real estate right now, this is what you should do with your money. This is what you should do. Like, if you want something that's safe, has a return, and has a utility function. So, look, we can house some of these poor people that don't damn well have a house. You got to build houses, you got to buy properties, post them for rent. That's what actually creates a good rental market. So, guys, I'll leave you there. Once again, just click into the link down below and you'll be able to go through to a calendar. You'll be able to meet with us, have a conversation one-on-one. And look, like I said, I talk about these topics, what's going on in the world and all this sort of stuff, as a general overview. So you know that, look, the money is going to be printed. And I'm telling you, we're going to see helicopter money. We're going to see negative rates. That's my big guess on the monetary policy. It's just going to be like, well, we're going to have negative rates. So you're going to cost you money, keep it in the bank, put it into assets. And it's ridiculous, but that's, I think, where things are going, certainly with the United States. We'll see what that means for all the other countries. But look, Trump's already called for this, by the way, worldwide, let's bring the rates down. At the end of the day, guys, you got to put into some assets out of necessity at this point. So look, if you want to talk to us about the micro details of particular real estate without going into like what's going on in the wars in the world and this and that, and I just don't want you to freak out when you see these headlines and have a better understanding of what's really going on. But yeah, just, take it easy and like talk to us exactly about what you're sort of hoping to do with regard to your own personal ideas around buying property. And we'll actually be able to, really guide you and give you some great advice and some great, quality information with regard to like lowering your tax, with regard to self-managed super funds, with regard to just basically paying off your home loan quicker. All these classic real estate topics. We'll talk about them with you and we'll show you exactly where you should be buying and what we believe is actually going to be the biggest pumping market in forever. This is it. This is the big one. All right, guys, look, thank you so much. Love you and leave you. I will chat to you again very soon. Thanks so much for watching. And look, any questions at all, please leave them in the comments. Ask me directly, email me, whatever it is. Would love to chat to you. We've got your back for life. Talk to you soon.